Today, I'm going to be sharing with you how my company grew by 75x by hiring the right people with the right foundation. I know you're going to enjoy this episode. So let's pull back the curtain. I'm going to be sharing with you really what it took to build our company to a point where we were ready to hire. I'm going to be talking about what you need in order to really hire in a way that's going to keep people around. Because one of the detriments to hiring is hiring the wrong people or maybe for the wrong position and having turnover. And we all know that high turnover costs us a lot of money, right? It's going to cost you time because all that time that you spent training an individual, getting them into your systems and your processes is now gone and you have to start over. And a lot of times, training and hiring the wrong people in general can get us to be a little scared to do it again. And that's not what you need hindering your growth. You don't need to be at a point where you are scared or nervous to hire, because I truly believe that hiring is one of the ways that you can free up your business so it can run itself, so you can be elevated to CEO status, which is what we love to talk about here on the Business Savvy Show. So I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit into my story and share with you some of the foundational framework that I believe needs to happen to hire well. So some of you guys may not know my background, you may not know my story. I actually started, I won't go all the way to the very beginning. Let's talk about when I started courses, right? Because I was a virtual assistant. And in 2016, I launched an online course to teach other people how to become virtual assistants. And that first year in business, it was a great year, right? And just me with one part-time freelancer. I actually hired a Pinterest manager with the very first profits from that first year, and a freelancing Pinterest manager, because my number one source of traffic and my only focus for traffic was through blogging and having an organic Pinterest strategy. So we did 48,000 that first year. The second year brought on another team member, a VA, and the company really doubled. Actually, it 4x'd. We did 225,000 that year. And the crazy thing is that, I had this VA and I had this Pinterest manager, but there was still so much, because it was just two part-time freelancers and we were in this rapid growth stage, that I was struggling. I mean, I was still running so much of the business. The majority of the marketing was on me. The majority of the copywriting was on me. The majority of showing up and supporting our students and filming content and all of the things was still on me. And to be transparent, this is when my own mental health really started to lack. I started having panic attacks on a regular basis. And I knew that something had to change. So it was in 2018 that I brought on Melissa. Some of you guys know Melissa. I will have her as a guest on the podcast at some point because she's phenomenal and she is my integrator, right? Every visionary needs an integrator in their business. And Melissa, for years, has been my integrator. And she actually came on as a part-time freelancer. So she was an OBM, online business manager. And she came in and started to systematize some of the things that were in my brain, right? And I had so many ideas and so many things I was trying, but there weren't systems in place. And so she really helped me to put in systems. And that was huge for our company. Another really just fun fact, this was the point where I said, hey, if you can figure out how to hire yourself as an employee, then you can be a full-time employee. I didn't want to deal with it, all the paperwork and everything. So she signed us up for Gusto. She told me what papers to sign, and we got her hired as our first full-time employee. So 2018, one full-time employee, two part-time employees. We did 600,000. So again, tripled the company. And so much of this I attribute to, it's not like we had new products we were releasing. We literally just had one product still. We were mainly just doing Pinterest and a Facebook group. And so I truly believe that hiring these people is the main denominator in what changed in causing this rapid growth. So at that point, we brought in more people, right? So we decided we're getting close to the $1 million mark. We knew we were going to hit it that year. We had our eyes set on it. And so we went ahead in 2019, had 5 full-time employees and hit that $1 million. Now, at this point, we see the company wasn't really slowing down. And so we continued to hire, not only for the budget that we had, but the budget we knew that we were going to have in the coming year. And since we were still in that phase of rapid growth, we went ahead and brought in more team members, and we had 10 full team members by the end of 2020. Okay. And that was our $2 million year. So again, we doubled one more time. And so that was kind of when we started doing senior leaders, right? So we started to establish leadership inside of the business. All of this happened very, very quickly, yes, but I truly believe that again, we still had such a focus on this is what we're building, this is what we're selling, here's our ideal market, here are the traffic methods, and we're not going to expand outside of those. We're just going to focus doing more on what's working. And that's kind of always been our mentality. So at this point, we have 10 full-time team members. Going into 2021. That bumped up to 19, and we did 3.8 million in 2021. So why do I tell you all of this? Well, because the reality is the girl who was having panic attacks, just me with two part-time freelancers, right, is a completely different story than who I am now, right? And the team that I've created is such an incredible team. They are people who believe in the business. We have core values that everybody believes in. They enjoy their work. We have low turnover, right? And so much of that is because of what we're going to talk about here. And who I am today is not that same stressed out girl with panic attacks who wasn't taking care of herself, who wasn't sleeping enough, right? And now I'm at this place where I truly can be CEO. And so I want to walk you through those steps because honestly, I wish somebody would have told me about it because I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And I had a lot of struggle that I don't think I should have had. I don't regret it. I don't believe that there's mistakes. There's just learning opportunities. But there's a lot of things that I want to be able to share with you on how we did this and how you can do something similar, right? And so we're going to be talking about this just transition to CEO framework. And I believe there's three main parts to being able to transition yourself to CEO status, right? And so that's basically what this journey has been. And yes, I'm like, oh, it kind of happened quick. But at the same time, I mean, it did take like 6, 7 freaking years. Like it seems like, oh, that happened fast, but also it happens kind of like when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't feel fast. So if you're in the middle of it and you're like, oh, how much longer? It's like, hang on, keep going, set these foundations in place, and maybe it can happen even faster for you than it did for me. As far and elevating yourself to CEO doesn't have to happen with 20 full-time team members. I'm telling you this too. Your elevation to CEO is when you aren't in the weeds of your own company, right? When you aren't the bottleneck, when the whole thing doesn't rely on you, when you can take a real vacation, right? And unplug and the whole thing doesn't fall apart. And that's what I love to share with people. And that's kind of what this framework, this transition to CEO framework is all about. So the first part of that, so number one, right, in the three-step process is to have a foundation of culture. And I believe so strongly in having a company culture and building your foundation off of that. And even if you're a solopreneur, you have a company culture. I mean, the reality is that you have a way that you treat clients, right? You have a way that you want your students, your clients, or whoever you interact with to be interacted with. You have a way that you want to work with them. You have goals for them in mind. You have a way that you want your business to be ran and what you want to stand for, right? And all of that shapes your company culture. And your company culture is going to look different than my company culture, right? I was talking with a friend the other day and one of their key components is excellence, right? And she owns an agency and she delivers like this really excellent work to her clients. And I love that about her. She's an Enneagram 3, by the way. And that is just like how they believe they're going to get to the most success is by just doing 100% excellent work all the time. And I think that that's awesome. One of our core values, one of what shapes our culture over the virtual savvy is action over perfection, right? And so it's like, oh, those things are kind of different, but these are both like $1 million plus companies, super successful in their own right. So how can there be two competing values? Because your values are a reflection of you and your personality. So you can't just read them off of some website and copy the same ones, right? You have to figure out what resonates for you. And so, what is your company mission and what are your values? I'm telling you, I know you hear this and it's like, oh, yeah, I know I need to have that. But if this isn't like a living, breathing part of your business, you're missing something. This has become not only how we guide if we're being successful or not in business, it's become what we celebrate inside of the business. We literally have a Slack channel to celebrate our core values, right? Whenever they happen, it helps us with decision making. One of our core values is irrational generosity. And so my team members don't have to ask if they need to buy that sick person, one of our students who's sick and in the hospital. They don't even have to ask if we need to buy them flowers. They just know, hey, irrational generosity is what we do. Hey, guys, I bought the flowers. Let's celebrate it in our core values Slack channel, right? Or in our team meetings every week when we talk about what are ways that we saw our core values in action. And so I want that your core values, even if it's just you, right? Like even if you're still solopreneur, not having a team yet, start to identify your core values and start living them out inside of your business. Establish not only your core values, but your mission as well. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What are we doing here, right? And you should have one core mission, one main problem that you're trying to solve for a specific person or people. And that should be what drives you and your company is the mission and the values. And it's the foundation of your business. So that transition to CEO framework, I can't start talking to you about hiring. I can't start talking to you about like your tasks as a CEO if you don't have this foundation. Because truly, especially when it comes to hiring, I believe that the culture that you are creating inside of your business is going to help guide you to hire the right people, right? We hire for culture, not for skill, which we'll talk about here in a second. So, number one is that foundation of culture. Number two is focused ownership. So, I actually did an entire podcast on this. It was one of our very first few episodes. You can go back and watch it if you want. It was all about doing less so you can do more. And I loved this episode because it's really the like resounding message that I want people to hear. A foundation of culture followed by focused ownership are two of the top ways that you're going to be able to truly elevate yourself to CEO status. I love the book Essentialism. I've talked about it before, and there's this graph, and I can't show it to you right now because most of you guys are listening to this on a podcast. But there's this graph. So imagine this circle, and there's like 20 arrows coming out from the circle, and they're all going different directions. And they're these short little arrows, right? And if you are that circle and your business and your energy is that circle and it's going in 100 different places, you're not going to be able to make much traction. You're not going to be able to move very far because your ownership isn't focused. But what if? What if you were to take all those different arrows and you were to put all that energy into one place? You would be going so much further, right? And so if you are spinning your wheels on 50 different products that you're trying to sell, if you're trying to meet the needs of 20 different problems, if you are trying to run 5 different businesses and none of them are working out very well, what if you were to simplify, do less so you can do more? It's why I'm so passionate about choosing Swimlanes, which again, I talked about all in that episode. You can go back and listen to it. But what are the 3 things, right? What are the 3 things that you can be doing in your business that only you should be doing? And here's the thing is that there's going to be other things that you love doing. I started out my business as a copywriter, and over the years, as we've hired and we hired and we hired people to help with our students and help with customer service and help with tech and help with ads and help with this and help with that. And I will tell you that copywriting was one of the last things that I let go of because I just loved to do it. Like I just love copywriting. So I stuck with it for a long time. And it's okay if I would have wanted to stick with that forever, that's fine. But the thing is that I had to look at myself, look at my strengths, right? And say, where is my highest contribution to this company? And my highest contribution, my swim lanes are, high level strategy, high level partnerships, and face of the company, coming on, doing podcasts, webinars, whatever. And so that became, all right, this is what CEO looks like for me inside of this company. And so that's what I'm going to work toward being my only focus. It doesn't mean that I don't ever do other things, but I really, really try to filter through. In fact, I went through a time period where every single task that I had for the business, I would write down every task. We use ClickUp. And so I would have a label for every task. And if I couldn't put the label of high level strategy, high level partnerships, or face of the company, if I couldn't attach that label to a task, I would work to hand it off to somebody else. And talk about CEO level stuff, man. It was tough. It was tough working myself out of some of the things, especially things that I loved doing. But now the role that I have, I can tell you, I truly feel like CEO and I feel like, man, I love what I do, right? Like I absolutely love being this type of CEO. So choose your swim lanes. When we talk about transitioning to CEO for you and that framework, it starts with the foundation of culture. It is paired with a focused ownership, not only for your business, but for you and your role. What is the highest capacity thing that you can be doing? Let's do that. And then lastly is the freedom path. So I believe so strongly in hiring, and some people don't want to hire. You may have a successful business that you love and you think, man, I don't really want to hire, or I don't want to hire more people. I don't want to hire people for some of the things that I enjoy doing. And that's okay. Like there's nothing that says you have to scale your company to this much revenue, or you have to scale your company to a place where you can take a big vacation and it runs without you. I'm saying from my experience, what I love is being able to truly unplug from my company and take a real vacation, right? Take an unplugged vacation. You don't know the joy of it until you've actually experienced it. And so, there's different areas. Most businesses I have found have four real pillars. You have kind of your marketing, your lead generation, whatever, how you're getting the word out about your business. You have the actual sales that happen. Those could be discovery calls, sales calls. It could be a funnel. There could be tech involved in the selling process. Then you have fulfillment. Whatever your product is, whatever the deliverable is that you're selling, you have that as an actual pillar of your business. And then you have operations, kind of what ties it all together. And I am guessing that you are still strongly involved in, if not in all of those areas, in one of those areas. Maybe you've outsourced everything admin, you've outsourced everything marketing, you've outsourced everything, maybe even fulfillment, but you are still the primary salesperson. Like sales don't happen unless I do them. Or maybe all your sales are automated and your marketing is, outsourced to social media managers. But at the end of the day, fulfillment relies on you and you alone. And so I would really challenge you to look at, where am I the bottleneck? Where am I the person holding up this whole thing? Because the reality is that your business, unless if you have duplicated yourself in some way, unless if each one of those four pillars can run by themselves in a sense, your business cannot grow beyond you. And you do not have 10,000 hours in a week, right? You have at most 40, hopefully. Some of you maybe 60 or 80. I hope not. But, I've never had 40 hours. I've always had closer 20 to 30 just because, kids. I've never had a business and not been a mom. I've always been a mom while having a business. So I have the limited amount of hours, right? But like this, if you are the bottleneck, then the capacity for that area to grow is limited by you. And so I really challenge you to implement some way to duplicate yourself. It could be with people, it could be systems or software. Wherever you are the bottleneck, really work to set up things where it's not just completely reliant on you. And that, friends, is the freedom path. And I believe that one of the best ways to do that is through hiring. We are huge fans of hiring. I always know who not only is currently on our team, but who are like the next 1, 2, 3, 10 hires that we want to do down the line. I have a affinity for creating org charts. I don't know what it is. I geek out over org charts. And so even when it was just me in my business with like my 2 freelancers, I still was creating org charts and I would just put my own name in every single position, right? Because I'm like, well, I guess I'm marketing and I'm tech and I'm the graphic designer and I'm all the things. But starting to create that org chart was really helpful for me because it caused me to see, okay, I am playing 20 roles. I am CEO, but I am also graphic designer. I am also the tech person. I am also head coach, whatever it may be. So I slowly was able to, from that organizational chart, see these are the roles that will eventually need to be held in my company for me to only have myself in the CEO box of my organizational chart, right? So I challenge you, if you haven't already, create an org chart, right? Not just what it looks like right now, but what you would foresee it looking like 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road. And then you can start hiring for those people. And I love hiring. I love bringing people into our family. I love bringing people into this amazing company culture that we've created. And I love being able to share, a flexible work style. I mean, one of our main goals is to teach people to creatively carve their own path. That's what we say. And that to me means that a workplace, a 9 to 5 job doesn't have to look like a traditional 9 to 5 job, right? For one, all of our employees work remotely. They have 4-day work weeks. We have awesome benefits, right? We have like a stipend that they can use to make their work experience life better. So that could be if that's, getting a house cleaner or a babysitter or going for a massage once a week, they have a set aside stipend for like their work life experience. And so we do these things because we want our employees to have an amazing work culture. So, hiring, I believe, has not only been a way for me to elevate myself to CEO, but to also provide a flexible, like that freedom lifestyle, which is part of our mission, right? And so it's just so cool how that can go hand in hand. So, have you hired before? Have you gone down this path? Whenever you are choosing to hire, you are going to have to make the choice if you're going to hire a freelancer or a full time employee. And there's a lot of things to consider here. I could probably do an entire episode on this, but really the main things is to look at your budget, right? Look at, are you ready to go through all the process of setting up the tax registration, deciding on company policies, etc. This is the reason why I brought in my OBM, Melissa, and I said, if you can figure out how to hire yourself, you're hired. So there are definitely benefits to having full-time employees. And most of the people who work for me now are full-time employees, but I will stress that is not what we have done in the past. And we still have many contractors that work with us right now. Okay. So the benefits to having full-time employees is that they are working for you full time, right? It means that they're going to be more committed. They're not, even though our employees are allowed to have their own clients if they want, the majority of their time, 30 to 35 hours a week, are spent solely devoted to my company. You can train them on your own systems, dictate when and how they will work. That's literally the definition of an employee. Okay. So it's not like I'm trying to dictate everything for my employees. I'm actually pretty low. I'm not a super big micromanager. At least I hope I'm not. But that's the difference between an employee and a contractor is a contractor, you can't tell them, hey, you have to be here from 9 to 5 every day, right? That is what makes you an employee is that, hey, we kind of dictate when and how you will work. And so even though hiring is more difficult for full-time employees, there are really great resources. We use Gusto. Gusto is a really great way to hire full-time employees, and it makes that process super simple if you are ready for it. However, the majority of us, especially if it's maybe your first, second time hiring, if you are in more of that low to mid 6-figure range, I would definitely recommend starting out with freelancers. Freelancers are awesome because they're going to be able to get started right away, right? They're going to just invoice you and they're going to say, here's how I work. And they take it from there, which is really, really nice. It's also great if you're working on a smaller budget, right? So it's a much simpler hiring process to hire a freelancer. In many cases, you can hire a freelancer with literally like a couple of days. And so you can get started right away. So that's what I would recommend. And I'm a huge fan of hiring, whether it's full time or freelance, hiring for culture fit. And again, how do we do this unless if we have that foundation of culture that we talked about in the beginning? So when you're hiring, it's okay to talk about your core values, to ask questions about your core values. You want to see them light up about your core values the same way that you do. Now, I'm not telling you when I say like hire for culture fit, right? I'm not telling you to hire people just like you. Please don't. That would make a very boring organization. The cool thing is that every person on your team is going to probably come in with a different background, with different personalities, with different strengths, right? We need each other. Like I need operations people because I am not an operations person, right? But even though my operations people and I and my relationship people, right, the people that are so good at responding to emails to our students when I am so bad at it, like I need the relationship people, I need the operations people. I am more like the strategy marketing person, and that's what I love doing. But we need each other. And what's so cool is that even though each one of us have different personalities and even though each one of us have different strengths, we all have the same core values, the foundation that we're built on, and what we believe and how we should treat our students are the same. So would it be helpful maybe if I read for you our company core values? Again, I almost hesitate to do this because I don't want you to just go off and like do these. Although, if one really resonates with you, go for it. But you can study other people's company core values. I think that that's great. And just start to find what really resonates with you and what you truly believe foundationally. So, ours are that we value action over perfection, we creatively carve our own path, we respect all people at all times, we practice irrational generosity, and we serve first, right? And so, again, it shapes the way that we do things. We serve first. We do a lot of free value. It's something that we've always done, whether blog posts or YouTube videos, right? Me going live in my Facebook group. We're always doing value first, value first. And we teach that to our students. The respecting all people at all times. We are very strict in our Facebook group on like, there will not be disrespect, although drama can be fun sometimes. I'm not going to lie. I'm in Facebook groups that have lots of drama, and sometimes I eat it up. I will read all the comments like the next person. But the reality is that that's not what we're going to do in our business because I just don't have time for that. And so we are very, very strict on, hey, we only show respect inside of our Facebook group. So again, these core values actually ebb and shape your company policies. They ebb and shape how you treat people, your customers or your subscribers or whatever you call the people that are in your circle, right? So, and what's so cool too is that when it comes to hiring, is that there is going to soon be a place where you can actually hire freelancers for cultural alignment and for mission and value fit. If you don't know, we're creating a platform. It's called HelloSavvy, and it really is a place to hire long-term freelancers, right? A place where you can have conversation with freelancers. You can actually post your own company's mission and values so that freelancers can see them when they're responding to your job opportunities. You can sort through their portfolios, and you can even filter by like personality type and strengths. And so we're so excited for it. It's coming in September. If you're not already on the wait list, go to hellosavvy.com. And I'm so pumped for this because, again, I feel like this is an extension of what I'm trying to help other people to do. And one of the goals over at HelloSavvy is that we're not just creating a platform on a place to hire and to hire for culture, but we're teaching it. We want to teach how to do good business, right? We want to teach people how to respect other people. We want to teach people how to hire well and how to hire for cultural alignment and for values fit and all of those things. So I'm so pumped for it. I hope that today's episode inspired you in some way. I hope that what you're able to take from this is either, man, I need to build up my foundation of culture. What are my company mission and my values, and am I really integrating those into every part of the business? Looking at, man, am I focused in my ownership? Am I really doing the things that only a CEO should be doing? And if not, what is my path to get there? And then, hey, who are the people? Who are the people that are going to help me get to the next level in business? Who can I download all the things that we're doing into, bring people along to go on this journey with me? That is elevating yourself to CEO, and I can't wait to see you do it.